Welcome back to another episode of The Lawyer You Know. And today we're going to continue talking about the Curtis Reeves trial. Jury selection has continued to drag on, but we want to react to part of jury selection and explain what it is like for a lawyer who is first trying to get a certain juror struck, but then realizes he is the reason the juror is crying. Let's start this video with a clip of the prosecutor in the Curtis Reeves trial and what went down while he was questioning a juror.
We were having a conversation and became overwhelmed. It's okay.
So you can hear him say, well, it's okay. So he's comforting her. We can't see her face, but it's clear that she's upset and something is making her upset. He thinks at this point that it's the surroundings, it's the trial, and he does not want her to be on this jury, is what it seems like. And you can always tell by an indication because the lawyers try to guess at what is making this juror uncomfortable, and they're trying to make it something that will strike them for cause. For example, if you say, is just being here a problem for you? Do you just not think you can sit on a jury? Are you not cut out for this? Is this a bad case for you because of what happened here and the facts here? And you're asking those questions to get yeses from the juror so that later you can tell the judge this juror needs to be struck for cause. If you like the juror and you want to keep the juror on the jury, then you say things like, well, could you work through it? Can you put all this behind you? Could you still be fair and impartial? Do you think you'd still be able to disregard your feelings and just listen to this case and the law and the facts of this case? Those are the kinds of questions you ask when you want to keep a juror on a panel if you feel like you're losing that juror towards a cause challenge. So let's hear how he deals with this juror that he knows is uncomfortable at this point.
Was this whole situation for you, does that sit well with you? Do you have the personality where you feel comfortable in a situation like that?
No.
No?
Do you have the personality that's going to make you feel comfortable to sit in a situation with facts like these? He knows the answer is going to be no, and in fact, the answer was no.
No.
No?
He reiterates no, and she says no again.
Okay, that's just your personality. It doesn't have anything to do with the lawyers, the judge. It's just because you're in this setting.
Then he asks, I don't know what made him ask this question, does it have something to do with the lawyers or the judge, or is it just because you're in this setting? I think he thought she was going to say, just being in this setting is too stressful for me, and that would be enough for a cause challenge. If this person is losing it or crying because of this setting and being in court and hearing it's a murder trial, they're going to be struck for cause. Especially if it's legitimate and they're not putting on and they're not trying to get out of jury duty, the judge is going to allow them to be struck for cause. And this lawyer knows that. He's a seasoned prosecutor.
You don't feel comfortable?
Right, and I think you remind me of someone. I'm sorry.
And then she says, right, I think you remind me of someone. And he's like, come again? I'm not trying to belittle this or laugh at this, but I'm thinking from the lawyer's perspective, that's got to come as a shock. That is not what you want to hear while you're picking a jury. Picking a jury can have a little anxiety because you're trying to make this group of people like you and trust you and believe you and think you're a good lawyer, think you're doing a good job, think you're fighting for justice. And if they're not liking you just because of the way you look or the way you talk or you remind them of someone, that is not a great feeling while you're up there. And a lot of people say it's like you're up there in your underwear talking to all these people because they're all trying to judge you and figure you out and figure out whether you're a slime ball or what. Usually prosecutors don't have to deal with that, but criminal defense lawyers or plaintiffs' lawyers or defense lawyers sometimes have to feel that way. And so this is not a great feeling. And I can't imagine I can't imagine what's going through his head. He's got to be thinking right now, oh no, she did not just say, I'm making her feel uncomfortable.
What's that?
She said you remind her of someone.
Sorry.
He says, what's that? And then he looks over to the side and goes, makes a face. And then somebody else has to speak up for that juror saying, sir, you remind her of someone. That's what's making her uncomfortable.
Okay. I remind you of someone? Okay.
And then he reiterates, I remind you of someone. And she says, as she's crying. And at this point, the prosecutor's looking up at the judge. If I'm him, I just move on. I just stop. This juror is going to be struck for cause. No need to dig in. No need to continue on with this juror. And this juror did get struck for cause. So it's just a very unusual situation. But this gives you a little bit of of a picture into what jury selection can be like. It's not easy. It's not like me talking to you guys who all enjoy this kind of conversation. You enjoy talking about these cases. You choose to be here, right? So it's good back and forth. And we know what we're getting. This is someone who was just randomly called for jury duty based on her driver's license or where she lives or whatever it may be. And she's on a high-profile murder case being questioned by a guy that reminds her of someone that obviously doesn't give her very fond memories. Jury selection is constantly reacting to what happens. You don't know what kind of people you're going to get. Everybody's going to be different. That's the point. And you as a lawyer have to sift through it all, ask questions that may be difficult questions, try to make them comfortable enough to answer so you can get to what's important to this case. Jury selection is an art, and it is difficult. And you can come across difficult patches like this, and you've got to know how to move through them. And the next question better be, and I didn't see what it was, but anybody else, anybody in this room make you feel uncomfortable just how they act, talk, or look? Because that's fair and that's okay. You've got to make this juror understand that you're not in trouble. We're going to let you go because you have this feeling, and that feeling is okay. And I'm glad you told us now. Anybody else, if you have that feeling, please just let us know now. It's no problem. This might just not be the right case for you. We might not be the right lawyers to try a case in front of you as a juror. But it has just got to be a kick to the stomach when something like this happens. And this stuff actually happens and has happened in some of our cases. I've been picking a jury where jurors have broken down crying while answering certain questions. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Because we as the lawyers are trying to find out information like this, are trying to find out if the facts of this case strike a chord with you no matter what happens. We need to know now because you're probably not going to be able to sit through this entire trial. Now, usually we'll call them up to sidebar and it'll just be the lawyers and the judge speaking quietly. Sometimes jurors will ask for that, especially if it's something embarrassing or something about their past they don't want to bring up now, something that's happened to them or a family member, and they will just start breaking down crying. And we'll just say, Judge, would it be okay to excuse this juror? The judge will say yes, or vice versa. Sometimes the judges ask the lawyers, any objection to just excusing this juror? And we'll say no, and we'll move on with the case. But this stuff happens. We've had jurors get angry. We've had jurors yell at one of the lawyers based on the position that their client takes. But it is a lawyer's duty to find out this information if it's pertinent to the case, because it can be horribly damaging to your client. And your job as a lawyer is to represent your client zealously and get a fair jury for them. That is the point of jury selection. So it's actually good sometimes when you get this kind of a reaction out of a juror, because you need to know now, not later in the middle of the trial or not while they're deliberating as a jury. So this is part of a lawyer's job, is to get to these issues, to ask questions and dig in with these jurors so that they will open up and let us know if they can be fair and impartial and if they are the right juror for this case. It's very interesting, just a little snippet from this Curtis Reeves trial as they continue methodically pressing forward and trying to find a jury. So let me know if you have any questions. I think one of our followers sent this to us on Twitter. It was an interesting clip to react to. So if you guys see anything like that in this trial or other trials we're following, make sure to reach out at Tragos Law on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you do your social media, or of course on YouTube in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Until next time. Thanks for watching this episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you like this content, please share it with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to our page and like our videos. If you want some interaction, get in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you. If you want to know any more information about our firm or this page, you can find out in the description or visit tragoslaw.com. We post multiple times throughout the week, so make sure you hit that bell so you can get the notification and not miss out on the next episode.